Oh, my only crime was being happy. That's all I did. I hate you.
Holy shit, Danny. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Mark It Down podcast, where I never cease to crack up at that shot of Chad at the end of it, of the intro. My name is Nick Cummings, back from my hiatus, joined this week by James Asante, who is seemingly always here covering some sort of wrestling. But this week, we are back once again to review tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite. Honestly, not the best show, but there were some cool moments, and there was some nice through threads throughout, but we'll get into all that as we go throughout the show. What up, JL? Good to see you in the chat. We start this week with Orange Cassidy against AR Fox for the AEW International Championship. Now, this was set up last week where Darby Allin asked Orange as a favor to him to have a championship match against AR Fox, who was a friend of Darby. And Orange was like, yeah, sure. You're like, you and me are cool. Fox seems like a pretty good guy. We'll go for it. The show actually started with an AR Fox video package narrated by Darby. I only caught the tail end of this because my Xbox was still loading in. But James, did you see it? Was that any good? I genuinely have no idea.
The match between the two?
No, the video package itself at the beginning.
It was good. They did a good job of explaining AR's like story, why Orange vouched for him, all that stuff. I too missed like the first like 30 seconds or like first minute to it, but overall I'm enjoying the fact that we're learning more about AR Fox.
Yeah, and I've been saying for a while now, and I always keep referencing the show I went to in Bridgeport, the Dynamite, where I think he first debuted. I've been a big AR Fox guy since then because he was really good there, and every time I see him, he does very, very well. So I was happy to see him get the shot. It's nice to see them give more background on him. Eric's already in the chat chirping him, and I'm just going to blow straight past him because I don't care.
He was exhausted. He was exhausting today.
I know. For those, I was not in our pod chat the entire show just because I knew that was going to happen. I think at some point I opened it, and Danny, who is unfortunately not here at least yet tonight, he goes, "Nick hates this chat right now," and I was just like, "Yeah." So then I'm just going to skip through the rest of it. Anyway, I actually really did like this match. I thought it was one of the highlights of the show. Like I said, I'm a big fan of Fox. Orange always puts on great matches. There were some really good spots in this match. I enjoyed the one where Orange was in the body scissors, and in order to get out of it, he put his hands in his pockets. Orange put his hands in his pockets and then wriggled his way out of the body scissors, which I thought was great. There's another great sequence right before the commercial break where Orange actually hit a counter Stun Dog Millionaire as Fox came back inside the ring, and the sequence went on and then ended with Fox hitting a second rope stunner and a twisting neck breaker that Orange was able to kick out of. That whole sequence right before commercial was phenomenal. Another good sequence, I thought, Fox countered Orange coming back into the ring after Orange was running it back and forth between the turnbuckles. And so Orange went to hop in. Fox hopped out of the ring to counter, then hopped back in with a senton, pushed Orange out, hit a tope con hero, and then threw Orange back inside, hit a top rope senton, and Orange was able to kick out of that. So a lot of good sequences out of these guys. Orange actually right after that was then able to hit a tope suicida, a tilt-a-whirl DDT, and a breach break that Fox was able to kick out of. So like I said, a lot of good sequences out of this. If you're going to watch anything from tonight, I would recommend this the most, I think, except outside maybe the main event. But this I thought was the match of the night. Anyway, after some great false finishes following all of that, Orange is able to pick up the win by faking out Fox, making like he's going for an Orange punch. Fox goes up, Orange sweeps the leg, wraps him up in the mousetrap, and is able to get the pinfall and the win. After the match, Cassidy goes to show Fox some respect, shakes his hand a little bit, and puts his sunglasses on him. And then Orange turns his back to raise the title, and when he does that, Fox takes the glasses off, snaps them in half, and blindsides Cassidy. Fox comes out of the ring. He seems a little unsure of himself of what he just did. As he's leaving, Darby Allin comes out. He starts yelling at Fox, admonishing him for what he did, saying that was embarrassing, that he should take the loss like a man. And he put his name on Fox. How could he do this? Fox keeps trying to leave. Darby keeps cutting him off. And eventually Fox is able to walk away. And Darby's just heated as all hell. Back inside the ring, Moxley comes out of nowhere through the crowd, fucking absolutely blindsides Orange, Death Riders him in retaliation for when Orange knocked Wheeler out with an orange punch on Friday at Death Before Dishonor, which for those of you who didn't watch it, James reviewed it here on the Mark It Down podcast. It was a very good show for all.
Fantastic show.
So, yes. But James, like I said, I thought this was the best match of the night, and there was just a lot of good spots here. And frankly, I just don't think anything topped this the entire night.
I'd agree. I think the main event was fun and as chaotic. Yes, as chaotic as it was, and as random as it may seem to people who aren't tuning into Ring of Honor, I thought it was a fun main event. But I'd agree. I think this was a solid start to the show, and I don't want to say everything else was just not good, but this was the high point of the show. I love Orange. I love how his title reign, his title defenses have all varied so much. And we're seeing I don't want to say a ruthless Orange, but we're definitely seeing a more
Gollum to his Smeagol.
A little bit. Like,
we're getting there.
Never condoning a post-match beatdown. AR Fox was wrong. But Orange definitely tweaked his ankle before going for that pin. He saw that AR had a little bit of a tweaked ankle of his own, and then he made sure to torque it right before hitting that pin. I don't know that's something that Orange would have done before this title reign. Yeah. And I'm not saying it was bad. I don't think it's a heel thing, but it's definitely not a clean-cut babyface thing, taking advantage of an injury.
Yeah. So, and I mean, a little turnabout is fair play. Everyone has been attacking Orange's various injuries throughout this title reign. But also,
you're foolish not to.
Yeah, and also Orange, I don't want to say disrespected Fox at the beginning of the match, but he definitely didn't go for a full-blown handshake at the start when Fox offered his hand. He went for more of, they tried to play it off on commentary like, oh, that's just Orange being Orange, but
it did look kind of shitty.
Yeah, it was a limp dick handshake.
And I don't know if you noticed, I was really paying attention to this match. Orange in the beginning of the match was smiling for a lot of the bits. He was not like laughing at AR Fox, but it almost felt like he wasn't quite taking him seriously in the beginning.
Almost dropped my phone. And I caught my hand on my desk catching it.
AR Fox, genuinely one of the most underrated dudes ever for being able to nonchalantly and effortlessly pull off shit like this. Yeah. I agree. From a talent standpoint, AR Fox has not missed since he's debuted in AEW and his appearances in Ring of Honor. But even I can admit, they haven't really given me much of a reason to care about this character. Tonight was sort of a new beginning for him, and I'm very grateful for that. The video package, we learned a little more about him. We're seeing actual personality out of him now after this attack on Orange. And granted, who knows where it'll go? We have an idea later on, but we don't even past that. We don't know how he'll stick the landing, if you will. But spoilers. But we'll talk about that in a minute.
Spoilers, literally.
Yeah. But in general, I'm just happy they're doing stuff to develop him more. High-flying, amazing action can only take you so far if we don't care about who you are. So very happy to see this. As for the aftermath, Darby, I'm excited to see where Darby goes from here. I had a second where I was kind of not expecting, but I was prepared for a little bit of a swerve. Sorry, JL, no QTV, no QTTV, but there was a brief appearance of Ethan Page later. We'll talk about that when we get to it.
Yep.
But there was a brief moment where I kind of wondered, was Darby saying he was embarrassed because he lost to Orange or because of how he acted after the match?
It was definitely how he acted after the match.
I know that now. But there was that split second where I was like, are they going to turn Darby heel to go against Orange? And I love Darby. I don't think you need to turn him heel. I think he's I think he's good as a babyface. But I'm not saying that I wouldn't enjoy a potential heel run out of Darby. I think he could do a good job with it, but I all turned out the way it did. And as for Mox, this is I very much enjoy watching Ring of Honor. I still do. I'm happy I covered Death Before Dishonor. But
thrilled. I watched that. I watched your show.
Thank you for tuning in. It was a great event. They had some fantastic, phenomenal wrestling. But it's a show that very few people watch, which is why I don't really cover it on Thursdays anymore. And its influence in AEW fluctuates. Sometimes it's very involved in AEW storytelling. Sometimes it's not involved at all. This was an example of Death Before Dishonor having a lot of impact on AEW TV. And I know we were all sort of burnt out from it for a while, but I think the way they served it here was pretty good, that they used what was Death Before Dishonor was a good show, but it felt very filler because not a lot changed. So if they're using Death Before Dishonor as sort of a springboard for what's moving forward with AEW, as we saw with Orange and Moxley, because Orange got involved with the BCC stuff later on in the show. So overall, excited to see where everything's going. Intrigued to see Moxley versus Orange, if that's the direction they're headed. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later in the pod. But I think we might have the person who could take the title off of Orange.
Ooh, Moxley with the international title. That is very intriguing.
I think they're going to keep him away from the world title for a while because, he's the only 3-time champion. I'm sure they don't want to make him a 4-time champion anytime soon. And he's too important not to be doing big stuff. And you can only do so much gang warfare with the BCC. So I could see him going for the international title. He's a believable threat. He's vicious enough to take advantage of Orange's weakened body, weakened state. And people aren't going to immediately turn on the guy because he's Moxley.
Yeah. Also, too, that only adds prestige to that title because, not to take anything away from Orange, he's done great things with that title. But now your 3 runners, what's going on? You know what? I meant to click that, and I just started immediately going into my bit. Good to see you, man. But yeah, it adds prestige to the title. It means your 3 guys that are Pac, Orange, and then Moxley, which is 3 of the biggest guys in the company, 3 day 1 guys as well. Moxley will continue to make that a workhorse title. He's a guy who wrestles almost every week anyway.
Yep.
It seems like, so he'll continue to defend the title. And when he goes to New Japan shows, he'll take that there. I know He's not doing as many indies as he was with his new contract because they're trying to save his body a bit more. But wherever he ends up, he's going to take that title. So I am actually all in on this. I was not expecting you to say that. I hadn't even crossed my mind. But I am 100% in on Moxley taking that title. Throw another title on the BCC guys.
Exactly.
Give them gold, and without it having to be the World Championship, because that makes a lot of sense.
Yep. And we were fantasy booking Brian being the guy to do it.
Yep.
So now that Brian's hurt, give more for Moxley.
Yeah, I'm 100% here for that. That is a great idea, and I really hope they do it.
Likewise.
Let's move on, but we will be back talking about Orange and Fox a lot throughout the match, so don't worry. Next up, there was a quick video package for Blood and Guts last week, and I was not here, obviously. I watched it. I enjoyed it. We can talk about that more later if we want, but because there's nothing else on the show. But let's just keep it rolling here. We actually went to a backstage interview after that with Chris Jericho and that carny piece of shit, Don Callis. Callis, in an effort to give people a taste of oh wow, no, I guess it was black, green, and orange. It's not just black and orange. I didn't do that intentionally. If I wanted to wear black and orange, I would have thrown my Andy Dalton Bengals jersey. Anyway, yes, that carny piece of shit, Don Callis, in an effort to give people a taste of what Jericho would be like in the Don Callis family, has set up a tag match with Jericho and Takeshita. Jericho is like, you know what? I do like Takeshita. He's a very good wrestler. Why not? I'm in. And then Don goes, all right, it's against Daniel Garcia and Sammy Guevara. And Jericho is stunned to hear this. All right, yeah, he's a carny piece of shit.
Yep.
But Callis talks him into it, being like, oh, you wanted Garcia and Sammy to step up and make something of themselves on their own. This could be a good opportunity to do that for them and with them. And Jericho seemingly reluctantly agrees to do this. Don then surprises Jericho with something else, and there's another beautiful piece of artwork that Don had commissioned. Only the finest art from Don Callis. At least he does one thing right. It is Jericho and Don in their primes, just absolutely looking roided out, with their man Bad News Allen looking down upon them, adding, I guess, probably replacing that beautiful picture that he had of him and Kenny on his. Oh no, he gave it to Jericho, so I guess that one's just in the trash now. Yeah. But he needs a new piece of art for his wall.
No, he puts it in his spank bank. Like he thinks of it like an X. It's still there in the background.
Anyway, Don's like, "Don't worry, I'll take care of the paintings. You don't have to carry it around." He leaves, and as he goes, Jericho has a very he has a look of contemplation. Gives the old beard stroke, or I guess he doesn't really have a beard, but he gives the old chin stroke, and ponders what Don might be up to. After that, we went to commercial. We came back to a very, very quick Hook vignette, which I actually was really cool. And I'm more interested to just see what they're going to do with Hook now. Obviously, at some point, he's going to kill Jungle Boy, or the man formerly known as Jungle Boy. But the vignette was cool. It was him walking on the subway platform. He sat down with his backpack and the FTW title. Subway went by. The title was gone. Another subway went by. He was gone. And then his nameplate came up. So not much, but enough to have me intrigued with what we're going to do with Hook post FTW Championship and post first loss. I might add.
The thing we have to recognize with a lot of these young guys is there's no reason to rush anything. They are very young in a company that, God willing, will be around for a very long time. Take your time with them. Don't burn out on them. Don't go through an entire career in 5 years.
Yeah,
so, yeah,
except maybe Darby because he wants that. But
yeah, that's different. But yeah.
I'm kind of hoping Darby wants to stick around longer, and maybe he'll start wrestling a little bit like lighter. But there's no chance in hell. It seems like. After that, we quickly cut to a Blackpool Combat Club promo backstage. Claudio and Wheeler were there. Claudio was calling out Pac for messing with the BCC, saying his defeat at Death Before Dishonor was just the beginning, or something of that sort. He is then interrupted by Moxley, who just got back from kicking the shit out of Orange Cassidy, saying that that's what happens when someone messes with his friends, especially when he's not even in the building after what happened at Ring of Honor on Friday. He then tells Pac, the Lucha Brothers, the best friends, and everybody else to stay in their lane and stay the fuck out of their way because they're just playing with explosives. We then go to an in-ring interview with Jack Perry, and I know Producer Boy had just put that tweet up about Jack's new theme, and I didn't really have a chance to address it last week, so I'm gonna just do it now. I don't know, man.
I wasn't crazy about it last week either.
I feel like I'm cool with the classical. I just feel like we could have done something a little not menacing. But
it doesn't suit him at all.
Yeah,
he's playing a shit coward heel Hollywood type.
Douchebag.
No, he needs some broy music, some Hollywood entourage music, something I would have heard on a Doug Ellen show. Jeremy Piven should be rocking out to it. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to hear. And I would prefer it for Jungle. I would prefer it for Luchasaurus. I would prefer it for Christian and Luchasaurus. This does not make sense for him, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was. For the record, I think it's Producer Boy in the chat as the market down. It doesn't fit him. I think Producer Boy said he thought Sandow was coming out, which is just
he's too busy doing Tim Robinson bits. He's too busy not paying it forward.
Yeah, it's just I don't know, man. There is a piece, and I think it in the chat. Just said Mozart's Fifth might have worked, but thank you for putting it up there. I don't know Mozart's Fifth off the top of my head, but I imagine it's better than what they're using. So it's weird. We'll see if they decide to change it or if his character evolves in a way where it actually makes sense. But to the promo itself, he came out in orange shorts and a Hooks t-shirt that had I Beat printed above the Hooks logo. So, Taz colors, just being an absolute prick about winning the title. He comes down and he starts talking about how he wasn't even trying to win the FTW championship because it was created in a shitty company and it wasn't even formally recognized until he won it. He said that he was better than every wrestler who ever held it before him, and he called out Taz by name. And he just absolutely was just shitting on ECW and everybody until Jerry Lynn came out. Jerry Lynn comes out calling him Jungle, and the only good line Jack had in the entire thing was him responding that the old man better check his pager because Jungle is no longer here. He by far the best line and the only good line of his promo. Lynn then comes into the ring and says that it was ECW, and they actually said ECW on air. They rarely say it. It was ECW that paved the way for the younger generation, and without it, there would be no one. There would be no Jungle Boy. So Perry asks who's going to be there to defend ECW, and Lynn throws his microphone aside and steps to Jack. Jack takes a step back, saying he's clearly not dressed to fight, even though he's literally in a pair of basketball shorts and a t-shirt. So if Lynn wants to, he can meet Jack in his ring next week. So
ironically, his wrestling outfit is more like normal clothes than what he wore tonight.
So, like I said, this not great. I'm not digging Jack's new presentation, or at least the music. I was digging him diving into Cars a couple of weeks ago, but I don't like the music. His promos are clearly lacking. We were hoping he would find his voice as a heel, and I know it's only been a couple of weeks, James, but he clearly hasn't found it yet, and I don't want to say starting to doubt he will, but that doubt is definitely starting to creep up.
And I do get that. I'm willing to give it more time, and I'm sure you are too, but yeah. I'm not writing anything off yet. The character they're going for just isn't him. It comes off as fake. I agree, kind of. I think there are elements of it that are working. The smugness. Did you watch his match with Hook last week?
Yes, I did.
The pin perfectly encapsulates what I want him to be. That pin where he is just like smiling like a little brat as he's covering Hook. That was amazing.
Yeah, just all smug and knowing he cheated, or knowing he won by cheating.
Yeah. Smug, so proud of himself over bullshit. I loved it, and I think that's the way to go with him. He needs a mouthpiece because it's not working. He can't cut a promo yet.
Nope. At least not yet, yeah. So I don't know who they would put with him. I genuinely have no idea. But yeah, he could use someone. He definitely needs promo classes. Yeah. And I don't know if that's something AEW does, but he's got to work with somebody to be healed. Like, it's almost a shame, Christian's over on Collision for the most part. And not because I think that they would rejoin with each other, because I think that would just take a step back for Jack.
But he could help him with the promos behind
the scenes. At least just hang out and help him, because I don't know who at the moment is back there that can give off the type of heat that we're trying to get for Jungle Boy. I'm sure MJF could, but that's not really his shtick, especially at the moment where he was more face than heel. And not to mention, Max is a dick to everybody, at least in kayfabe. So I don't know who could possibly help him. It's a tough call. Maybe Adam Cole, but those guys are busy, so it's tough to tell. All I know is that the kid needs work, and I'm willing to give him the time. And hopefully, maybe they try to keep him a little more backstage, and doing stuff where they can do takes and try to get the best one out of him. But for now, I don't think live promos are working.
Yeah, no, I agree. Intrigued where this goes, because if he's going to start picking a fight with the ECW guys, like we already had Sabu, they could bring him back, I suppose. Now we have Jerry Lynn. It should culminate with Taz. But I don't think Taz can work a match.
Yeah, not that I'm aware.
So I'm sure this will just be the beginning of him actually helping his son, which I'm fine with. But I guess I think the only thing we can really expect from him is a chokeout. I don't think we can expect more.
Yeah, I think that's the best you're gonna get is you get a transmission in, and
Yeah.
But like, what's the? I guess there's a point, but I wouldn't know about that. I don't know if I want the title destroyed. That would seem dumb for him to win. His
Exactly. Yeah. No.
singles title
Maybe if he loses it back to Hook. Maybe if Hook beats him for it and then he destroys it because it's not a real title. Truth be told, I don't really need the FTW title on TV anymore. It was good when there was less titles in AEW and it had like a hook to it, no pun intended. But I don't really need it anymore. And I think it's going to do more to hurt Hook in the long run than help him. So let him win it. Let Perry destroy it. Then let it just go away.
I mean, maybe if you want to destroy it. I'm not a big fan of that angle at all. But if that's a decent route to take. No, not that one. This one. What about Raven?
He is there. He's appeared in AEW before. He was one of the red herring names for the leader of the Dark Order. He was seen in the crowd one day, but obviously it didn't go that way. The last time I saw him on TV was Impact, actually, a few months ago. So who knows? I think he might be doing backstage producer work for Impact. I can't 100% confirm that, but nobody's going to check me anyway. So let's go with it.
Yeah, but hey, if you're bringing in old ECW guys and you want to bring somebody in, I'm here for Raven. I like Raven.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on because otherwise we're just going to spend the rest of the pod shitting on Jungle Boy. We had a backstage interview with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, to set up her match with Taya Valkyrie later tonight. Renee asked Britt about Taya calling her out of Collision, and Britt basically just responded that she's still the face of women's division and she's glad Taya called her out so that they could have this first time matchup. And honestly, it was a very quick promo, not too much, but cool.
It did what it needed to do.
Exactly. Speaking of not too much, we had Pac versus Gravity. First of all, I guess Gravity remembered him, and after this match, he is not going to forget Pac
ever again.
Look, honestly, I got up at the commercial to go use the bathroom and came back, and the match was over.
Yeah.
Like, Pac had him in the brutalizer, and he was having out. I don't know what happened in this match. It felt like a glorified squash to get them through the commercial.
It's very interesting because this match was set up at, again, Death Before Dishonor. And it was Gravity defeating Commander. And then that set up this match. The idea was, I think the winner of that match was going to face Pac on Dynamite. So I get it if all this was to play a pun off the man who Gravity forgot. But why go through all that then? Why have that Ring of Honor match? Why have him look really good in that match?
Yeah, beating Commander, who's good. We've seen him get wins on Dynamite.
I'd actually say that Gravity was more impressive than Commander at Ring of Honor. So I don't know why they went this way. And I did talk about this in our private chat. I felt weird. Like, I enjoyed it watching it on TV, the bit about Pac trying to remind Gravity who he is. Saying like he was basically saying, how dare you forget me? I thought that was really funny. I thought that was really good. But if I was in the crowd, I would have had no idea what they were doing. They did not do a good job of making that apparent.
Yeah, this almost felt like they did it for the meme.
Yeah. And that's fine sometimes, but I don't think they nailed it.
Yeah, and it was weird too, because I get the idea of, okay, Pac's back, and he came back for Blood and Guts last week, and then obviously he went up against Claudio at the pay-per-view, but he's back on Dynamite. Let's get him a match. Let's reintroduce him to the crowd, so to speak. I'm fine with that. You want to do that in a squash match? Okay. You want to do that as somebody, who's very clearly lower on the card? then do that. Like, you know, if you don't want to just use a local talent, then use somebody he's clearly going to beat without too much pomp and circumstance. They almost built this up a little too much.
I agree.
And maybe it was because of the name and because of the meme, I guess, for lack of a better phrase. Yeah, exactly. He took that shit personally. And yeah, that's funny, but like they make it a bit of a joke and just have Pac destroy him. I was expecting this to be good, and it was just, I don't want to say it was good, but it was just so fast I couldn't even have an opinion on it. It was just very oddly done.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. This was it. I wasn't offended by this, but it didn't do anything for me either.
Yeah, I was more confused, I guess, than offended. I don't know, or anything else.
Yeah.
But it ended whatever. All right. After that, we went to a backstage promo with MJF and Adam Cole, which was actually recorded last week, right after their victory. So yeah, this was great. MJF. It was funny too because MJF went back to like heel MJF and just completely eviscerated FTR for like a minute,
but not before cutting off Adam Cole, who had the mic first. Renee gave the mic to Adam, and he was like, "I got this," and he didn't do it like in a playful way. He did it because he was upset about what happened on Dynamite last week.
Right, and for those of you who forgot, Cole picked up MJF's title probably in an effort to just give it to him, and that's what Cole keeps claiming.
He stared at it a second too long. He stared at it a second too long.
MJF saw that, got really pissed off. Cole tried to calm him down. MJF seemed to acquiesce, but then stared down Cole from behind. So, anyway, like I said, he roasted fucking FTR. Absolutely cooked Cash for his mullet. And then went after, he just destroyed Dax's life. It was great. Said he got the same promo every week about how he loves his family and he needs his job and he loves professional wrestling. And he did it all in Dax's accent. And then, you know, he said he's going to like take his head out of MJF's, or excuse me, out of CM Punk's ass or whatever the fuck it was. It was so fucking good. Just absolutely killed them. After they hit their catchphrase, I thought Pac was above body shit. After they hit the catchphrase, Cole turns to Max and he says that he actually wants to tell something to him, and goes on to tell him that, you know, that this all started just because he wanted to win gold, but it's actually become about friendship, and Max has become one of his closest friends. MJF, oh yeah, I forgot, he called him Mr. Clean, Yosemite Sam looking ass.
I hate it, how real it is.
Oh, it was phenomenal.
I'm not going to be able to unsee it.
Cole then goes on to tell MJF that, you know, he has nothing to worry about with the AEW World Championship. He was just giving it back, and he has no plans on challenging Max again for the title. Max actually turns around and, you know, says that he knows how much the title means to Cole, so win, lose, or draw, he's going to give Cole a rematch after they win, you know, after their match against FTR on Saturday. Roderick Strong then interrupts. He comes in hot. He shoves Max. He's screaming at him, saying that he saw how Max looked at Cole, and he's playing you at him and everything, and Max is going to betray you. And Cole eventually is able to separate the two. Asks MJF for a minute, and MJF, walks away. He's like, "It's only because it's your boy," and walks away. Cole is like, "Roddy, what the fuck? I love you like a brother, dude, but I do have other friends, and you're acting super crazy and possessive, and by doing so, you're starting to push me away." He's like, "You gotta chill." So Cole turns around and goes to leave, and Roddy grabs his arm, and Cole spins back around and yells boundaries at him.
I loved it.
Before walking away. And no, but yeah, it wasn't just funny. Like, it's such a great dichotomy because that's how he started with MJF.
Yeah.
Anytime MJF touched him, he was saying boundaries. So now he's doing that to Roddy. So this promo did a lot. There was everything with MJF making fun of FTR. There was all the serious stuff with Cole and MJF being friends, the siege for the betrayal, which way that's going to go, what's going to happen with Roddy. This wasn't very long, but it pulled a lot of weight, James.
Absolutely. So much development that is going to send all three of these men in interesting directions. We have a supposedly guaranteed title match between Cole and MJF moving forward. Win, lose, or draw for the tag titles.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Kyle O'Reilly returning. We'll see. I miss O'Reilly so much.
Yeah, I hope he gets healthy.
I know there's like no timetable for his return, but I miss him so much. I'm Roddy. I've seen some people say that maybe Roddy and MJF are going to align. I hope not, because it feels like such a short-term thing that it'll benefit them like really quickly, but it won't do anything in the long run. I'd rather they don't.
Also, that would be kind of dumb, because Roddy is out here warning Cole that MJF's going to turn on him, so he allies with MJF, so he's right. Like, that makes no sense.
I don't get it. But Roddy could screw Adam, but not align with MJF. It's possible. It's possible, but it's not something I don't even really want to see it. Roddy is a great talent. He's better when he's bouncing off of people. And if he doesn't have Cole, I don't know who he's going to bounce off of. So they don't need to be a tag team all the time. They don't need to be on screen together all the time. But a Roderick Strong that's by himself on his own 100% of the time, it's a scary prospect.
Yeah, it didn't particularly work in NXT.
Yeah. And granted, that was they were going for a very clean cut baby face, cookie cutter baby face with him there. And it wasn't working there. So maybe a heel Roddy could be different on his own. But I wouldn't split him up with Adam Cole unless he's got a direction to go afterwards, because again, it feels very short term. It feels very, we did this for the moment without thinking of the trajectory later on.
Wasn't Roddy with Stokely in NXT?
No,
or am I thinking of somebody else?
He was with Stokely. He was with Stokely in NXT, and in Ring of Honor, he was with, I believe, Prince Nana. So he's always had somebody. He's always had somebody.
And I will say, I only bring up Stokely because he doesn't seem to be doing much right now, as the firm seems to be completely destroyed.
So he's actually the on-screen authority figure in Ring of Honor.
Oh, is he? I was not aware of that.
And he's very much aligned with Samoa Joe.
Oh, okay. All right.
Both out of friendship and fear. And by fear, I mean fear. So it's been pretty funny, all things considered. I think he really found a sweet spot.
Yeah. I was legit gonna say what this person said. Like, yeah, Dax gave the exact promo.
He absolutely did.
And I know that they made it seem like Dax and Cash hadn't seen this promo. But
no, they made it seem he said he directly referenced things MJF said. Why is everyone trying to break up Max and Cole? They're the perfect tag team. Who else could pull off a double clothesline? I don't know.
Especially for the win. Nobody else is doing that for the win.
It's true. I don't want them to break up. Truthfully, if I'm going to be very honest, I know they've had a plan, and I'm sure they want to stick to it. The chemistry these two guys have had is so good that whatever plan they've had, I would just sort of throw it out the window and just run with these guys for a bit.
Yeah, at least a little bit longer.
But I understand I don't know that they'll be the main event of All In, but they're probably going to be the main event of All Out.
Yeah.
So,
also, I did not realize that Max called Roddy a default creator wrestler.
That was fantastic.
Which is, especially now that Cole is getting him a little more into gaming, as of last week. And if you didn't see this on AEW, I don't know if it was on AEW's YouTube or AEW Gaming's YouTube, Cole made Max do a Fight Forever promo.
That's really funny.
And Max grits his teeth and gets through it smiling like this. And then at the end of it, Cole, he's like, Cole's running off all the platforms it's on, and Max is like, "Those are all real?" He's like, "Yeah, dude, and they're all great." And then Max is like, "We're getting paid for this, right?" Cole's like, "Of course, dude." So yeah, no, they're phenomenal together, and I hope they do like a couple of more weeks. But like knowing Tony, like he's got his shit set in the stone, and
he's not going to switch off from it.
The knowing Vince, knowing Tony. But I mean, we've seen Tony's planner, in that backstage show. So like the motherfucker writes in pen, not pencil. It's very rare he goes back on something.
He'll adapt to things, but after the fact.
Yeah.
Like I think the best example is the Acclaimed. Like they should have won that first title match. He stuck with the plan, and then he had them win in the second title match, which I don't think was going to happen before that. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
But this has been a very pleasant surprise of a storyline. I'm very grateful for it. It's added multiple layers to both guys. And it's added an extra wrinkle to Roddy too. So overall, very happy with the development of the story. Want way more of it. Hope for way more of it, but grateful for what we've got. And I'm just going to put it out there. The match is this Saturday. I think they're going to win.
I mean, am I actually going to have to watch Collision?
Right? This is my long-term booking, and by long-term, I mean for the next month. They're going to win the titles. They're going to lose them at All In. And then that sets up the main event for All Out.
That could be very interesting. I don't hate that at all. Double champ, one of the rare double champs in the company would be cool. I'm here for that.
Yeah, the only other time was what, Pac?
I believe so. Right, they had he had the trios and the Atlantic at the time. Yeah. So yeah, I'm here for it. Also, not to sound like I wasn't listening, but I was reading. You said Mox and Punk before with the losing to win the title, or no?
What are you talking about?
Like 2 seconds. Forget it. You didn't say that. Don't forget it. Never mind. All right, let's just move on because
fuck shit water.
I nicked the quick. We then actually came back for commercial to the aforementioned FTR promo, and like we said, Dax just got the promo Max said he was going to, which made it ridiculous. But there was some interesting stuff in here because Cash said he was actually looking forward to the match, saying that he liked and respects Cole, but he feels bad that Cole's getting dragged into all MJF's bullshit, saying that they were in the pinnacle with Max and they know like everything he does and all his manipulative nonsense, and they know the type of person he is, which is why everybody have them dethrone MJF and Cole.
Yeah, why not?
Anyway, the type of person he is what Max is why everybody always ends up leaving him in the end, including, and I like Cash pause here before saying it. He was like, including your fiance. For the Kenny had four, technically
three
titles, 4 belts, but they were all from different companies. So technically, he only held one AEW championship. The other was Impact / TNA, which was the reason there was 2 belts, and the fourth was the AAA Omega Championship. So, you are technically correct, the best kind of correct. Anyway, Dax then, like I said, cuts his usual promo saying he also likes and respects Cole. Says stuff about I love this business and I can do it for my family and whatever. He talks some shit about MJF. And then he ends it with saying they'll do whatever they have to do in order to retain the titles, and then goes, sorry, Adam. So, like, coming after the last promo, nothing these guys said was going to equal that level of just good. So, this was fine. It just wasn't...
It wasn't even fine. It wasn't even fine, if we're going to be really honest. It's the same FTR promo we've gotten for a long time now. And it was very good in the beginning. It was very good. Now it's...
Yeah, they are... Yeah, ever since they turned face, they have hit very... They're doing the same shtick almost every time.
And we're getting diminishing returns as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly. Unless they're like with, when they were with like Punk and I think it was it Ricky? When they were first facing off? Yeah, when they were facing off against Bullet Club Gold and whoever else at the start of Collision. Like, There was a little bit of variance because they were speaking about specific people as opposed to. But even then, like they're talking about specific people here, and Jack just keeps saying the same shit. So, man, I don't know. Just be a little more original, please. Please, just a little. All right, let's keep it moving. After this, we had Swerve Strickland versus Darby Allin. Again, which honestly, like, look, I like this matchup. These guys have great chemistry because they've wrestled a million times on the indies, but like,
and now a million times in AEW.
Yeah. Again, point of diminishing returns. AEW, you can't show it 50 times in 3 weeks. Anyway,
and they've had that spot we just saw. They had a lot of good shit in this match. Yep. Swerve had this really great bit where he went over the top rope and he flipped over the rope and landed on his feet on the outside. That was so awesome. Do it against somebody else, though. do it against anybody else. Literally anybody else.
Yeah, like this match was good. It's just, we're just seeing it again. They've been facing off. They faced off a couple of times now on Dynamite. They were going at each other on, I think it was Rampage. Yeah, it was on Rampage during that Battle Royal I think that Darby gets a shot at the TNT title now. So it's like, okay, we get it. Like you're in a feud with Swerve. But anyway, there was some cool stuff in this match. And because, like I said, they have good chemistry, it was good storytelling. They had a bunch of back and forth roll-ups, and then it ended with Darby getting the Last Supper onto Swerve, which Excalibur very smartly pointed out is the only way that Darby has beaten Swerve in AEW, but Swerve was able to kick out of it, learning from his past. Swerve was able to counter a Darby tope with a high knee, roll Darby back in the ring and hit a Swerve stomp, and Darby was able to kick out. Swerve then brought Darby to the top rope, but Darby was able to actually counter with a stunner off of the top rope into the ring. Swerve rolled onto the apron, and Darby went up to the top looking to line up seemingly for a coffin drop, but then Swerve was able to recover, nut Darby on the top, go up top, hit that Death Valley driver we saw onto the apron, and Swerve actually rolled back in the ring, contends to win by countout, but Darby beat the count. And as Darby beat the count, and referee, I think it was Bryce Rumsberg, ruled him in, he got distracted by Prince Nana on the other side. As he turns around, a hooded figure who was very clearly AR Fox runs in, pulls Darby back out of the ring, throws him into the ring post, and then rolls him back into the ring. Swerve grabs him, gets the referee's attention, hits his new driver for the finish. I don't know what the name of it is. I haven't heard Excalibur say it clearly. Looks really cool. It almost kind of looks like a made in Japan that what's his name uses, Penta uses. But whatever it is, he hits it. He wins. After the match, Nick Wayne, who was out with Darby, he pulls Swerve off of him and pushes him in the ring and starts throwing haymakers. But AR Fox grabs Darby's skateboard, just absolutely wings it into Nick's back, and then, just slams it across of him. And then Prince Nana pulls out a Mogul Embassy shirt and gives it to Fox, who raises it above his head as he joins the faction. So we get our AR Fox payoff very quickly, after the first match. But I'm here for it. Like, it gives Fox a new personality. He's not just, the guy who's really good in the ring and was friends with Top Flight. We learned a bit about him today, and now he's doing something different. And despite the fact we're kind of shitting on this match, it feels like this was a good match.
Yeah, and we're not shitting on the match. We're shitting on the booking that we've had this match so often.
Yeah.
And like this tweet says, they do work very well together, and I'm happy to see long rivalries, but those long rivalries work when they're spaced out.
Yeah. Like, for example, later in the show, when they were doing the promos for Rampage and Collision, we saw that Nyla Rose and Hikaru Shida are going to have a match on Rampage, seemingly for the number one contendership for the women's title. That has been a feud since Nyla's had the title, like all the way back in year one of AEW, but they only have matches like once a year at this point.
Yep.
And it's cool, though, that they keep that rivalry alive. But when you do this seemingly week in and week out, it can be a little annoying. And I know they are feuding, but you have to continue the feud in other ways other than just, hey, go do cool shit in the ring.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah,
but I think the other players here, like AR Fox, Nick Wayne, they're going to do things to keep it fresh a little bit. But as someone who I'm rooting for Nick Wayne, I'm not really invested in him yet.
Yeah.
So we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, but I am excited for Fox. I'm curious to see what he does. It's cool that they're expanding the mobile embassy at least a little bit.
It's a weird group.
It is.
It's a weird group.
Fox feels a little more like he could be a little more in tune with Swerve than Cage, and I think Big Bill's in it now.
Maybe. Weird addition.
It seemed like that he's at least tagging with Cage still after the Blind Eliminator tournament. So, and then I know you got the Gates of Agony. There you go. But they're mostly Ring of Honor guys. So you're right. It is a little weird of a faction, but I think Fox rolling with Swerve and Nana is actually going to be a pretty cool thing to do. On Dynamite, you can let Cage go run around with Big Bill if you want, and also he's still Ring of Honor Trios champs with Gates of Agony, so he'll be probably bouncing back and forth between Rampage, or even if you throw him on Collision a bunch, because then they take Ring of Honor after and you do it that way. That works too.
Yeah.
So, and also I like the thread of this show. We had, like we said at the top, there's 2 threads from the first match, and this was one of them. And I enjoyed the fact that we had, consequences of actions coming out later in the show.
I completely agree.
Speaking of consequences of your actions, we then went backstage to Renee, who was with the Jericho Appreciation Society, who was, I like that, who was, they were waiting around outside of Chris Jericho's dressing room when he showed up, and he invited them in. Chris is like, "Hey guys, what's up?" Asked Ty how the baby's doing. So by the way, it was Ty, it was Ty Mello, 2.0, and Matt Menard and Cool Hand Ange, and Anna J. So it wasn't everybody; it was just those 4 members. So yeah, like I said, Jericho asked Ty how the baby's doing. She's like, "The baby's good," but she's like, "What the fuck is up with you?" Jericho's like, "What do you mean?" And then Angela Parker pulls out his comb, and he's like, "You gave me this comb, and I'm not ready to give it back yet." But he's like, "You kind of got to show me something." And they're all kind of dancing around what they want to say until Anna just steps up and goes, "I'll say it. Chris, you're being selfish right now with all this stuff with Don. We've spent all this time appreciating you. It seems like you haven't really been appreciating us lately." Everyone then goes to leave, and Jericho stops Daddy Magic, saying, "Look, dude, it hasn't really been easy for me with all of this." And Daddy Magic goes, "Seems like it's been easy. You've got to get it together. You got to get it together fast." So despite what Producer Boy is saying in the chat right now, I like this promo. Maybe it wasn't the most, it wasn't maybe the best delivered promo, but I've just been enjoying seeing the JAS's reaction to everything going on with Jericho and that carny piece of shit Don Callis.
Yeah.
Just because Chris doing what he's doing and not expecting reaction kind of just shows, his selfishness and his ego. But, I'm enjoying the fact that they're actually kind of building a story with this, and he's not just leaving them, and they're not just acquiescing to what he's doing.
I agree, but it's tough with this group for me. If this was the Inner Circle, I would care way more.
We did.
We did care way more. But with the Jericho Appreciation Society, they've always just felt like lackeys to Jericho. 2.0 were always just there to get the beat down for him and hype him up. The
Hager.
Girl, what?
Hager too.
Hager is the one. Hager and I guess Sammy to an extent are like the 2 that it's like, again, Inner Circle guys, that it's like they have a relationship with Jericho and they've had one for a long time. But 2.0 don't really. They were feuding before they got together.
It's true. Forgot about that.
Yeah, their feud led to it. Garcia has had just as many problems with Jericho as he has had like smooth sailing with Jericho. Ty is just there because of Sammy, and Anna's only there because it's Ty. So it's a weird, like, it's hard for me to, like, there's a part of me that's just like, why is this even a decision for you, Jericho? Even I would tell you to go with Callis. It's probably going to be a higher class. The only difference is you don't have lackeys anymore. So I get what they're going for. They're doing the best they can with it, but it's hard for me to pretend like this is an emotional debate.
See, you know what I think the problem is? Excuse me, $2. I think the problem is the fact that we've only had really heel JS this entire time.
Yeah.
And we're getting a little more face JS, for lack of a better phrase, just because we haven't really seen them wrestle, so we don't really have a dynamic with them, for lack of a better, for lack of a better phrase. But
anybody on the opposite side of Don Callis is inherently a babyface.
Fair. But because of that, we haven't really we see the relationships in it within the group, but we haven't really seen them built out the way we saw them built out in the Inner Circle, where we know that they're friends and we know that they care about each other, because like we know Sammy cares about Ty, and then I guess by extension Anna. Daniel Garcia kind of cares about 2.0, but like they had their beefs, and now Garcia's back in. Like if they had just built out all of their relationships a bit more and showed how much they like really truly cared about each other, this would make it a little more hard hitting. This would be more hard hitting, because now we're seeing Jericho potentially betraying these people that he says he considers family, but like we don't see that. You're just telling us that, and we're supposed to believe you just because they've been together for what feels like 2 years.
Has it been?
I don't know. It feels like it. Maybe it's been a year. Maybe it's been a little bit more.
It's been more than a year.
But less than 2.
But I think less, maybe.
I don't know, dude. I lost track of time starting in 2020.
Yeah. So it's all a blur.
Exactly. So I don't know. I wish they just showed us more, just so there was a little more emotional gravitas to this all, because I know where they're coming from, and I don't want this to happen. And it's trying to tug at my heartstrings. It's just it really isn't. It wants Jericho to ditch all of them except Anna.
It's why I didn't highlight the comment.
I didn't read that through because I was speaking. Whoops. Bonk 2 minutes. All right, let's move on very quickly. We then got a quick recap of the AEW Trio Championship match over on Collision. This is only notable because Daddy Ass Billy Gunn, he ended up losing the match for the Acclaimed, and after it seemed like Malachi Black said something to him, Billy Gunn took off his boots and left them in the ring, which, for those of you who don't know, is usually a symbol of the person retiring. So I don't know if that's happening or not. It might be at work, maybe not. I don't know, but it seems like we need a little more pop and circumstance for him retiring. But all right, after that, we had Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, against Taya Valkyrie.
Woo!
Yeah.
Train wreck.
I wanted this to be good. There was a distinct lack of chemistry between the two of them. Honestly, Ty spent most of the match using her strength advantage to push Britt around until Britt ended up hitting a ripcord elbow, and she started to make a comeback. Thank you to this person with this absolutely accurate sign. Booked the women's division way better. This was, as always, time slot of death, and it did not help that it was not a good match. Britt later then hit a Panama Sunrise, but Ty kicked out. Britt then put on the glove, but she ended up taking too long, bullshitting and whatever. So Ty was able to counter the lockjaw and then hit a spear that Britt kicked out of. Ty then gets Britt up for the Rose of Valhalla, but Britt counters, gets Ty to the ground, gets in the lockjaw, and gets the tap out victory. In a vacuum, this should have been okay. And I don't know what it was.
So my theory is, after Taya had Britt up for the first attempt at that Valhalla, that was like,
and
a
then
counter,
she just fucking dropped her.
I think she got pissy. I think she got pissed that maybe Britt botched it, but I don't even know if it's Britt's fault.
Trash, dog. Get the fuck off the airwaves. That shit is fucking trash, dog. Get the fuck off the air.
Okay, I'm muting that.
Fantastic timing.
I don't know if I don't know if I could blame Britt for botching that. And then after she drops her from like a very low angle and Britt just sort of lays there, you could sort of see a face on Taya. You could sort of see a not so pleased face, and then she starts throwing some elbows into Britt's head on the mat.
Yeah, this was like right before commercial, I believe.
It felt like from that moment on, both women were mentally out of the match and were more annoyed than willing to put on a good show. And I don't know if that's Britt's fault. I don't know if that's Taya's fault. I don't know if it's both of their fault. Taya I can't really recall ever hearing a bad story about Taya in other companies, whether it was NXT or Impact or any of the companies she does for Lucha. And Britt, I mean, I know she has issues with Thunder Rosa, but most of those issues are on Thunder's back, not hers. So I don't know what this was. It was definitely disappointing. Why is Britt Baker considered the face of the AEW Women's Division? They should shift that title to Athena or something. All right. Athena is absolutely the best women's wrestler in the world right now, and nobody's watching.
I know, I believe you. But it was 2 minutes to the penalty box, you know. It wasn't I'm not fighting.
We also can't get rid of Producer Boy. We've been trying. People are finally realizing Britt Baker can't wrestle. I think Britt can work, but she's not the person to carry a match.
Yeah, also, let's be fair. How long has she been wrestling now? 4 years? I mean, it's not been
longer.
a long time.
No, it's a little bit longer. A little bit longer.
Well, I guess since I know it's been only
before the company.
Before the company started, though, it hadn't been that long in general. Yeah. Is my point. So
she worked at All In. She worked at the original All In.
Yeah. Okay. So it's been a minute, but not as long as I think some people realize.
Yeah. No, it's true.
She should be a little bit better than she is, but I agree. Like, she can work, but she's not carrying a match.
Yeah. The
that being said, Taya can work. You think they would have been able to get through this? Okay.
It's 2 weeks in a row of very weird, lackluster Britt Baker appearances. Last week did her no favors. This just sort of compounded that in my eyes. Look, I'm not done with her. I'm not over her. I still very much appreciate and like Britt Baker. I see her value, and I've enjoyed a lot of her ring work. I'm not going to sit here and say she's a terrible worker, but like I said, she, in my opinion, cannot really carry a match. And as long as she has a partner that's willing to work with her, they could create some really good stuff. But I don't know what happened. Maybe we're overthinking it. And they just had a bad match. But this was rough. This was very rough from two women I know are both capable of way better. And I was thinking to myself as she made her entrance, Taya looks like a superstar. Her entrance is literally fire.
Yeah.
Literally fire. And she just presents herself so well as either a face or as a heel. And I want her to succeed. I'm sick of seeing her lose, if I'm going to be really honest with you. She loses everywhere to everyone. So I'm really sick of that. But I don't know. I would love to find out what happened in this match. I would love to hear a report about this match.
Yeah, I mean, definitely something to keep an eye on, between, Meltzer and I guess SRS or whomever. Oh, but I would only really trust like the quote unquote trusted guys. Who would that be? Taya or Britt? But either one of them maybe. But yeah, I would only trust the trusted guys with if something happened in this match. They could have just had a shit match. Shit happens.
Yeah,
but they had a shit match.
Kevin Owens and AJ Styles can't put on a good match together.
It's weird. Owens and Jericho had a terrible match once.
Yep.
Like at WrestleMania.
No, it wasn't terrible. It was just
Vince
lackluster.
Just thought it was, Vince
Vince is senile.
Yeah.
So far,
Even
Taya
then.
hasn't had chemistry with two of her opponents. When she fought Jade, the matches were a mess with a lot of miscommunication. Taya's a great wrestler, but so far in AEW hasn't been great. I disagree. I think she's given Jade her best matches.
Yeah,
I
thought
think
those matches were
absolutely
very good.
strongly disagree. Were there some missteps in the match? Sure, but Jade is still very green. Jade is still very green, so I don't put that on Taya. I thought her match with I thought her match with Statlander was very good. Yeah. So no, I disagree. I don't put this on Taya, and that's not even just as a fan of Taya. I think just objectively, it's kind of been her opponents, which is weird.
We're saying Britt looked rusty, which I guess. Yeah, I guess if you want to put it that way, I don't know. She hasn't really been in the ring too much until the last couple of weeks. But what's going on, Navarro? Good to see you. You didn't really miss a whole lot, so that's okay. But book the women's division better. That's all it was. It's just book them better.
That's what the sign was in reference to, Navarro. Just book women better in AEW.
Yeah, they are booked terribly.
I saw something that was just so hilarious, which was, man, Ring of Honor really beat AEW because of Ring of Honor. They had Athena versus Willow main event to show, and it was one of the matches of the night, if not the match of the night. And man, if only that AEW promoter Tony Khan could take notes from Ring of Honor promoter.
Tony Khan.
Well, I don't get what's going on there. I really don't get what's going on. He has the talent. He has the time to do it. He's just, I don't know.
Is it weird also that it was a little refreshing to not have the Outcasts on my TV the last couple of weeks?
Low key, I'm expecting Taya to join them. She fits with the shtick. She's not an AEW talent, like now a homegrown talent. She was in NXT. She's from somewhere else. She's a heel right now. All the signs are there for that to work. It's either her or Athena, and I don't know if they're going to put Athena with them.
Yeah, I mean, because then you have to put Athena on what you call it. Oh, I think we clicked the same thing at the same time.
And again, all right, there you go.
All right, yeah, hire all the Impact women.
I mean, as the Impact guy, please leave my division alone.
Also, Tony's not going to book them any better.
And that's the problem.
He has the talent. It's not the talents. It's not that type of thing. It's literally just he books one women's match a week on Dynamite. I know he does them on other shows too, but there's one match a week on Dynamite. They're always in the worst fucking possible time slot. And up until the last couple of weeks where it was a Brit squash match and a Brit win, it was literally the Outcast cheat against somebody they faced in the last month and a half.
Yep.
Like, it's SOS, same old shit.
Well, no, admittedly, there was also some Statlander matches thrown in there, too.
Oh, that's true, yeah. We have been getting some TBS open challenges, which have been a breath of fresh air.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, jeez, man. Like, just do something else. Surprise me one day and put them on at 9. Yeah. Like, holy fuck, dude. Or you know what? You want to kind of put them on at 8:40. They're still at the 40 hour then. You still get that.
Have we had a Dynamite main event with the women yet?
Yes, the cage match with Britt and Thunder Rosa.
Fair.
On St. Patrick's Day. When I didn't Thunder win the title for that?
Yeah, I think so.
There's been a couple. I don't think they've opened the show.
Yeah, I don't think they've opened the show either.
Yeah, it's just, man, just do something different with this women's division. Like, for once. And give them some fucking time. Like, you started a whole third show to give people more time, and you were not giving the women's any time. Pidgeot can fucking attest to that. That is a Pidgeot, right?
Yeah, it flaps.
Cool. Where'd you get that, McDonald's?
No, Target. No, Barnes & Noble.
Huh. I'm going to have to go get one for my brother. All right. I guess spend the whole night ranting against that. After that, we had the quick recap, promos for Rampage and Collision. I mentioned the Nyla Rose and Hikaru Shida one earlier. Like I said, seems like whoever wins this might be facing Toni Storm for number one contender. We've closed with women's hardcore matches. I can say that. You want to open with one? Fine. I don't care. Open with all women's thing.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'll just take a regular plain old singles women's match. Thank you.
Yeah, like I swear to God, fucking have Statlander open all in. Boom.
When did producer boy leave? Did
I
that
don't
just
know.
happen?
I don't really care. We also had some stuff for exactly both. We also had some stuff for the Tag Team Eliminator Battle Royal. This is where your boy Ethan Page came in, JL. Also, Buddy Matthews and Andrade El Idolo will be facing off on Collision. I think Buddy stole Andrade's mask, so he's mad. Anyway, we now come to our main event, which saw the Blackpool Combat Club being represented by Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli face off against the Best Friends and also the Lucha Brothers. This match started with pure chaos where the Best Friend and the Lucha Brothers started fighting before the BCC even hit the ring. But, they got there pretty quickly because that's what they do because, fight. So they all started brawling. The fight eventually made its way up the ramp towards the stage. And Trent was able to take out Mox and Claudio with a stage dive. Eventually, Claudio ends up turning the tables on Chuck. He takes him out, gets back in the ring with Rey Fenix. I think the match officially started here. I never heard a bell, ever.
Yeah.
But at some point, the match started. So we rolled with it. But those were the two official legal guys to start. The Best Friends tagged in for the Lucha Brothers shortly thereafter. And they, mainly Trent, faced off against the BCC for a while, with Trent taking most of the heat until Penta tagged himself in for Trent, and then all hell broke loose again. So it was chaos. Just a lot of chaos. So I'm honestly skipping a lot of it. And eventually, the Lucha Brothers cleared out the BCC and get the Best Friends into submission hold, with Penta snapping Trent's arm, finally bringing that back, and hitting Made in Japan before the BCC broke that up. The BCC then cleared house themselves, singling out Trent, and Claudio sets him up for a Ricola bomb. But then Orange Cassidy's music hits. He comes down the ramp. Wheeler Yuta goes to confront him. He just gets laid the fuck out with an orange punch. So this forces Moxley to leave the ring, go out there, and they start brawling on the outside. Back in the ring, Trent hit a strong zero on Claudio, but Claudio wasn't the legal man. I think it was actually Penta.
The first and only time in AEW tag team history that the referee was like, I'm so sorry. That's not the legal man. The first and only time. Rick Knox was definitely not refereeing this match. I think we've seen history in AEW tonight. Just, wow. They literally changed the entire rule book to make sure the Best Friends don't get a win.
Well, it is technically the rule. They just never keep track of it. It's like the ring ropes, and, it only counts if FTR is in the match.
Clearly.
Anyway, because of this, Trent then has to release Claudio. Penta comes back into the ring, and Trent actually gets him and attempts to go for another Storm Zero. But Phoenix hops in the ring. He breaks that up. Penta hits a Fear Factor on Trent and pins him for the win as Phoenix holds Claudio back from breaking it up. After the match, almost immediately, Mox and Orange start duking it out again. The Best Friends then get involved, and they go after the other BCC members. And then for whatever reason, the Lucha Brothers, who could have just stayed out of it, also start going after the Best Friends. And now everyone's going after each other. Mox literally just goes, screw you guys, I'm going home. Fucking legal, throws his hands up, jumps over the barricade, and just walks out through the crowd, leaving the rest of everybody to just fight each other. It was ridiculous. Orange ended up squaring off against Claudio and hit him with the stun dog before they went off the air. I think Wheeler was still dead in a corner after the orange punch. There was so much chaos. It was almost as many camera cuts during this brawl as your typical WWE match. And while all this was going on, Excalibur announced that Tony Khan made a triple threat between Mox, Trent, and Penta for next week at AEW 200.
So excited to see Trent lose to Mox next week. So excited.
Trent better fucking win a match. But poor Best Friends. Anyway, James, like I said, this match was chaos. And in a triple threat tag match in AEW, I'm not surprised. It was still pretty solid, though.
I enjoyed it. I think our group chat was kind of against this match or wasn't a big fan of this match. I very much enjoyed it. It was fun. It felt like the type of match that if I was there for, I would have been super hyped to have watched live. It's just, if you're not watching Ring of Honor, this felt incredibly random. Incredibly random.
I thought they did a decent job of setting it up if you didn't watch Ring of Honor, but at the same time, like, I know more about what happened because honestly, I watched you on Friday night. But yeah, for the I guess the regular fan who doesn't tune into Ring of Honor, yeah, it's a little more difficult despite the setup. But
so just to go off producer boy's comment, I watch AEW for AEW. I understand that. Thank you. Wait, hold on. Thank you. Damn it, wrong comment again. Thank you. That was really funny. God damn it. Even when he's complimenting me, I get screwed.
Sounds all right.
I'm watching AEW for AEW, not Ring of Honor. I respect that. I agree with that. But this, almost every story that happened here and is moving forward isn't going to be a Ring of Honor story. It's an AEW story, and the launching pad was Ring of Honor. When you have that much talent on both shows that are just commingling, it's going to happen. And this is the first time it's really had that Ring of Honor impact in AEW. You just said you can't wait for Claudio to lose the title. The way I'm booking this, honestly, in my head, Orange loses the international title to Mox, and then one member of the Best Friends, whether it's Trent or even Orange himself, takes the Ring of Honor title off of Claudio.
Piss Danny off.
Right? Seriously.
Danny's gonna have to start watching
Ring of Honor, right?
Yeah, Thursday nights.
But this was fine. The storytelling could have been a little clearer. Maybe it wouldn't have hurt them to post, like, to show highlights from the Ring of Honor event. Maybe that would have benefited everyone. I don't think they did.
Or a few more at least. I think they showed. Maybe it was before the opening match. I know they showed Orange take out Wheeler.
Yes, they did. That was in the world title match that happened.
Yes.
No.
After.
Yes, that was in the world title match that happened.
Yeah, I don't know if it was during or after, but it was definitely that segment, so to speak.
You don't think Claudio was supposed to lose to the brother guy? No, I don't, because initially Claudio was supposed to be defending against Eddie Kingston, and then Eddie, Mark Briscoe. That's his name, Mark Briscoe. Initially, Claudio was supposed to be defending against Eddie Kingston again in a rematch from Supercard of Honor. But because Eddie's in the G1, they had to change plans. And then they went to Mark, but then Mark got hurt, which is why they went with Pac. So is there a chance he would have dropped it to Mark, who's going to be out for a significant amount of time, by the way? He had surgery on his knee. I'm expecting him probably 6 to 8 months. Maybe, but if they just wanted to get the title off him, they could have done it with Pac. I don't think they need to wait for Mark Briscoe. Maybe they want to wait for Eddie Kingston, maybe, but I don't know. I don't think Mark was a lock for that change.
It didn't feel like it. I feel like Eddie's gonna be the one, maybe at this point.
It should be, but I'm still standing strong. I want Eddie to be the guy to take the title off MJF. So. Oh
yeah, me too. And I think it would hit a lot more had he not won a world title in any capacity.
Yeah.
Before winning that one.
I agree. And as it is, I'm not thrilled that he won the New Japan Strong title.
I forgot about that.
From
good for him.
Kenta. Yeah, great for him. I'm happy for him as a person. For my headcanon, I didn't want this to happen.
But at least it's not a world title.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's not an AEW title. Like I doubt we're gonna see him carrying it around on AEW television too often.
It's true. So. It's possible. So Ring of Honor is Ring of Honor. I don't want to get too into it too much, but I think they were very good with how they did it in using the pay-per-view to set up a lot of what's moving forward. But that said, I don't think Dynamite did a good job of capitalizing and highlighting those moves that were made. So this just felt like a random triple threat tag team match with a bunch of teams we've already seen wrestle before, and the losing team continuing to be the losing team in the Best Friends.
See, now, because I can understand that AEW, or I guess Tony Khan in particular, wants to establish that Ring of Honor and AEW are two separate companies, even though they're both owned by him and run by him. You know, but they treated this past pay-per-view more like they were showing the highlights of like something that happened with one of the wrestlers in New Japan, as opposed to, hey, I fucking ran a pay-per-view on Friday, and here's what happened that set up everything that happened tonight. And that's one of the things WWE does well, and I understand it's a little bit different considering, you know, it's a Ring of Honor pay-per-view to an AEW show. Yeah. But, like, at least the show after the pay-per-view, or I guess shows because you have Raw and then SmackDown, they capitalize a lot on showing. They usually use the stills now in order to prevent people from seeing too much, so they have to go get Peacock and go, you know, and go pay money. But they do capitalize on at least letting people know what the fuck happened at the pay-per-view. And maybe it's because they have more time, especially on Raw. And Tony, even with Collision running now, still needs to squeeze every second he can out of Dynamite because he has so much talent on that show.
Yep.
Look at what happens with the women every week, that he can't really do too many recaps of what happens. But clearly, I don't think he showed enough of what happened at Ring of Honor last week if it was going to set up the main event of your show. And that it makes it a little more disjointed, I guess, for lack of a better phrase. You called it random, and that's also a very good one. And that's like the 20th time I've said for lack of a better phrase on shows. I really need to the new drinking game, guys. Every time I say that, drink, you'll be drunk by the 30th minute. Is SummerSlam going up against All In?
No.
Doubt it.
All in is next month. SummerSlam is next week.
Yeah. So there you go. Also, I doubt either company would want to do that. That was done for both.
Yeah. SummerSlam is the beginning of August this year, and All In is the end of August. So
yeah. Because look, as much as they're in competition with each other, they very rarely go head to head, and that's on purpose. Tony knows he's not going to win that for the most part. They beat NXT, but he's not going to beat WWE proper. And
not yet.
And both of them are smart enough to not want to split the audience. They know there are plenty of people who like both, and they just like wrestling, and they don't want to force them to choose. And then you end up either splitting their audience, or they don't watch neither and try to watch them both back later. So, it would be dumb on both companies' parts. So I doubt they would ever do such a thing.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. But it's different on regular TV, but to do it on pay-per-view, you're just hurting yourself and each other. It's not worth it.
Yeah, it's like when boxing goes up against UFC pay-per-views. I know there's a lot of boxing fans who don't like UFC and vice versa, but you're splitting the fight fans. Yeah. And they do it anyway for some stupid reason. But at least, Dana White's smart enough to know when Tyson Fury's fighting, you put on a shitty card that week, or that month. And then, the other fights, Dana can put up whatever he wants and he's going to win. So, but yeah, that was Dynamite. And it's like we said, it was not the best of shows. We had the couple of the through threads with, we've been saying this most of the night, with AR Fox and Orange Cassidy going through, to later in the show. But, outside of a good opening match and a kind of fun, chaotic last one, and I mean, I'll say the Swerve Darby match was good, even though we've seen it before. This show was meh at best, I think.
Look, last week was Blood and Guts.
Yeah.
Next week is Dynamite 200. I get needing to take a breather for a second. I do. I get it. You can't be full throttle all the time. But it's hard when they had such good numbers for last week's episode and they didn't really have anything major happen on this show. So anybody who was watching last week or is either a lapsed fan or a first-time fan or whatever, and you wanted to follow up the next week, this was not a great follow-up.
Yeah, very poor capitalization on those numbers.
I would have, truthfully, because it's happening on Collision anyway. It's not even going to be on Dynamite 200 next week, I think. I would have had MJF and Cole versus FTR tonight. That would have been a main event.
Yeah, no, I think that would have been smart. That would have been very smart. Does college football go up against the NFL? Sort of. So there are some weekday games that do. Usually when on Thursday Night Football, there is a Thursday night college game, but it's usually not a great game. It's just kind of something ESPN throws on because they just need to fill time and they have contractual obligations. But for the most part, you just have college football on your main slate of college football games on Saturday, your main slate of NFL games on Sunday, and then you have Monday Night Football, and again, you have the Thursday game until college football ends in December, and then you have you actually have Saturday games for the NFL. You get maybe 3 or 4. No, it's usually 3 games on Saturday. It's 2 or 3 games on Saturday. So it's very rare. But again, they're both smart enough to know you don't want to eat into each other's ratings. And for the most part, everybody's picking the NFL over anything else. The NFL is the biggest ratings juggernaut in the country. So, and if you don't believe me, you can go look that up. They own the majority of the top 25 in the ratings for the year. So, but back to wrestling. Yeah, I think your MJF Cole idea would have been a good one. We probably would have had to get that promo after last week.
You do the promo on last week's Collision.
Yeah.
And then have the match on Dynamite.
Yep, you can even run that promo on last week's Collision. Even do it the same way. Just sorry. You know what? I didn't realize it wasn't a question. But you rarely came up so much later after we saw it. I just ran it off anyway. My bad. But also, not everybody knows. So there you go. Little
education
for the non-football fans. Yeah, if you haven't noticed by almost every one of my jerseys every week, I watch a lot of football. But yeah, you could have ran that on Collision, run that tonight. It would have been a big draw. I think you would have capitalized greatly on the numbers from last week because that is a huge match. And the outcome of that is very important to all of these storylines. And it just would have been a little more juice to this show. You still could have run this triple threat. You still could have run the stuff with Orange and AR Fox and Darby and Swerve and had everything play out the same. You just move this one match up. I don't know what you'd bump. Yeah. Actually, no, I guess I'm kind of looking at it. Well, actually, the backstage interview would have been bumped. So, yeah, you would have had time. Give fucking Jack Perry less time. Man didn't fucking need it tonight. No. So, there you go. They could have done better. They didn't. But it is what it is. Yeah, there you go. Botchamania. Hi, Matthew. All right, James, unless you have anything else.
No, I'm very much looking forward to Dynamite 200. I think I'm actually going to watch Collision this week live. So, I get why today was a pit stop. I just wish it wasn't such a slow pit stop, but things are going to pick up next week.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm almost surprised that they didn't try to do Blood and Guts this week just to have it the week before 200. And
I think it's because there's only so many arenas that could hold the cages.
And they had already booked Boston.
Yeah.
Fair. But yeah, I guess they weren't really thinking. Well, I don't know. I feel like they would have thought about that already. But
yeah, I don't know.
It seems like it would have been smarter to me.
No, I agree. I see the logic in that, and I think you're right.
Yeah. Just to, again, capitalize on last week's ratings. If there are people, like you said, tuning in again, I feel like it drove them right back away.
Yep.
But yeah, so I guess on that sad note, we're done. So I would like to thank everybody so much for watching us here at the Market Down Podcast. If you enjoyed it, please sure to like and subscribe. We do this every Wednesday after Dynamite. We got the Gym Pack Zone tomorrow as James goes over Impact. Maybe Ring of Honor again. I don't know. We'll see if
maybe we'll see how the show does.
If something catches your eye, perhaps you can go over it. Danny does his Raw fast forwards on Mondays when Raw is good. We also cover all pay-per-views, AEW, WWE. James just tends to do the Impact and Ring of Honor ones as well. So plenty of wrestling commentary here on the Market Down podcast. And you will also get prediction shows, and occasionally we'll throw in an episode if some big news happens. Also, check out all of our social media stuff in the description below: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Danny's been having a lot of fun on Instagram with that dance segment from the other week. So go check that out over there. Check out the Twitter. I have some fun on Twitter. So does Chad. So, join us there. Join in the conversation. Come have some fun with us on social media. When we are not, live streaming here on the channel. That is my usual plugs. So, like I said, thank you everyone so much for watching. JL, everybody, Navarro, everybody else, good to see you guys. For James Asante, my name is Nick Cummings, and we will catch you here next time on the Market Down podcast. Have a good night, everybody. I hate this thing.